Nick, yeah, I'll go ahead and call to order the August 12th, 2025 regular board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement is Learning for Life. Our vision statement is Southgate Community Schools, the best choice for students and parents. That brings us to the agenda. Take a motion on the agenda.
Mr. President, I have a revision. I move that we put a discussion item on the agenda to discuss the board decision for the Garish walkway made on July 15th.
I have a item modifying the agenda by Dr. Pomponio to add a discussion. Is there support for that? Support. Boardmaster Sage. Any discussion? No? No discussion?
Related to the agenda change?
Yes, related to modification.
I'm fine with it.
Where are we going to put it? Where are we putting it?
It'd be 6.
I'm sorry.
Action items, or under action. Action 6.
Action 6, okay.
Action 6.
Okay. Good.
Any discussion on the addition? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item is added to the agenda, and with that, then I'll take a motion on the revised agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised agenda as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio for the revised agenda. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Koopser. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We now have an agenda. We have no presentations. Brings us to citizens' comments. Any member of the public may address the board for up to 3 minutes. You can fill out a form if you'd like, otherwise we'll address you one at a time. Anybody who would like to speak tonight?
Hi, Joseph Kespa, 12374 Helen, Southgate, Michigan. Tell you, it's been a long time since I've been on this side of the microphone. So happy to be here tonight, here on something that you've considered and then reconsidered, the Garish pathway. I know every dollar that you want to spend involves your students. I was in your position for 13 years. I understand that. But I think as representatives of the community, you do more than K through 12. You do adult education, special other educational programs that are outside of that. So I don't think it's uncommon to do things that also represent something that's best for the community. The Garish pathway for over 3 generations of families in that subdivision, and those even in my subdivision, which is further east of that subdivision, use that pathway for running, jogging, walking, and biking. And it's a safe way to get to the play areas without having to go to North Line or even to Brest to traverse those streets. So, back when it was first approved, the developers, and you have my email on that, but I just want to touch on a couple topics. Back in the 70s, the developers saw the value of working with the school district and dedicating that pathway. They didn't have to. That could have been part of a parcel for one of the homes, but they did. And they turned that over to the city, and we maintain the approach to the pathway because that's our property. And for at least a generation or 2 of Garish students, they used that and worked with the school district, and I think it was very favorable for the school district to have that pass through. Obviously, it doesn't service students anymore, but over that time period, it became a real public asset, and people use that daily to traverse into the open areas there and onward, and without having to go to a major street. So I would appeal, to the board to reconsider the value in that pathway. And as I indicated in my correspondence, walkability is a tremendous asset for a community. If you look at any of the studies that have been done for young families that have children, It's to increase walkability within a community, and those are the communities they want to be part of. I gave you an example also of the Nature Center. As you know, the Nature Center is owned by the citizens of this community, and it is run, or basically supposed to be upkept, by the school district. That was the deal many, many years ago. And that's fine. That's the way it should work. And then about 15 years ago or so, the district was not able to maintain that. And as a result, the weeds encroached on the pathway, broke it up, and it was becoming more of a nuisance than it was a pathway. The city approached the district at that time. District was in no financial condition to help with that project. So the city came up with what's called Non-Motorized Funds, Act 51, which comes from the gas tax, and that has to be spent on non-motorized pathways. And that's what we dedicated several years of those resources to put about $100,000 into resurfacing major parts of that pathway. We did that not because we thought, geez, the school district should be doing it. We did it because it's a community asset that's worth preserving, not only for the students that use that for their science classes, but for the numerous families throughout Southgate that use that for recreation. So I think similar to the Nature Center, and the reason we were able to put money into that is because we own the property. So similar to, I think the board should reconsider rescinding your original approval for that pathway, because it has become that community asset, regardless of whether we have students there or not. I think it's really a resource that the community enjoys, and it's something that this board should support. So if you have any questions of me, I'd be happy to. Maybe I know more history than I should at times, but I've been here for almost 70 years. So I understand a lot of the things that went on that others might not have the understanding on, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. But I would truly appreciate from the citizens of the city of Southgate to preserve that pathway so that we can continue to grow our ability to, our walkability here within the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to point out that I'm the timekeeper, but I'm not telling the mayor that he's overtime.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight?
Good evening. I'm City Councilman Ed Golick, 15121 Windermere. And as the mayor stated, I had the opportunity to sit on both sides of this table as well. I was on the school board for 12 years. I was proud to say that we worked with the city whenever we could, whenever the funds were there, as the mayor indicated. And it was a great pleasure to be able to share facilities, whether it was for basketball, soccer, hockey, or the myriad of things that we share as a district and a city. And so I too would just like you to reconsider your rescission of the expense. It'd be a great time to show the city and the residents, school district and the city still work together, still have a great working relationship, and move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to speak?
I'm Councilwoman Karen George, and also a resident of the subdivision in which the walkway is located, and I'll keep it short. I did receive a phone call from an adjoining neighbor of the walkway, and she wanted to know what was happening because the school district had put up the temporary fence, and I said, I really don't know. And then I found out, as you all know now what happened, and the kids have been, I don't know if it's kids or who, have been tearing the fence down. That walkway is used. It's been used for many, many years. But I came here in 77, and it was being used back then. And so the Miss Grant, the neighbor that adjoining the walkway, she said that they keep tearing the fence down. And I said, well, that should send a message to the school district that the residents do want it open. And I would like you to reconsider and keep it open. I think, like the mayor said, with walkability and all, it's a definite asset, not only to the city, but to the school district too. And we have had a good working relationship with our shared services and whatnot. And I do want to thank you for that. And like I say, I would like you to reconsider keeping that walkway open. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and we'll close public comment and move on to the consent agenda, which consists of July 15th, 2025 regular meeting minutes, the HR update, and July 2025 disbursements. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. Brings us to action items. Action item number 1, approval of the 2025-2026 handbooks for Anderson High School, Davidson Middle School, Davidson Middle Academy, and Technology.
Yes, this is our annual cycle for allowing the board to oversee any major changes to practices and policies that are enacted at building levels. And these handbooks were provided to you at the end of June as a first read. It was also provided, the DMA one was provided in July. We're now submitting them for final approval so that our schools can move forward with those changes.
Any questions for staff?
Did we have a review of the handbooks already?
Yes.
Okay. Then that's fine. I thought it was something different or new. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Anderson High School, Davidson Middle School, Davidson Middle Academy, and Technology handbooks as presented.
Motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Green. You got that one. I heard it. Maybe my right ear is better.
I gotta be faster.
Yeah. All right, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio, supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Action item number 2, approval of the purchase of a Z-Spray Max stand-on spreader sprayer for grounds. Mr. Hardy.
Good evening. Tonight I bring in front of you a piece of equipment we'd like the board to consider. And that is to effectively manage and suppress the weed growth, including some of the dandelions at our schools and on our athletic fields. We propose the purchase of a 2025 Z-Spray Max Stand-on Spreader Sprayer. We've obtained following 2 quotes. From Weingart, 5 Z-Spray Max Stand-On with the 7-gallon kit. The warranty on the piece of equipment is 1 year limited warranty. There's a warranty also on the motor. It's a separate warranty. To be honest, I don't know everything that this piece of equipment will do, but I have with us ground specialist Mark Perez to answer any of your questions you want to know about this piece. It does hold a license, spray license, one of the guys that holds a spray license for the district, so he will be using this piece of equipment to maintain and control some of the weeds and dandelions across the schools. So.
Dr. Pomponio.
So what have we been using beforehand, and what are the price comparisons for other?
So beforehand, we've been using contractors to do it on occasion
Okay,
at pretty steep rates for what we have them do. And they're not doing our athletic fields. They're only doing the fronts of the school that are visible to people.
okay. And comparable, do we have price comparisons from?
So one application by contractor cost us just under $4,500 for one application, just the front of the schools.
And that was just to spray the dandelions to keep them under control so the dandelions didn't take over, and that's all you saw, on the front of the schools. The sprayer is going to do more than just dandelions. We do buy the chemical. Again, they are certified. We have 2 guys that are certified to spray currently, and this is a boom sprayer. It'll save on time. Right now, we're using backpack sprayers, and we're also using a gator with a tank on the back and spot spraying. But this is going to help us hit the larger areas And we post everything, you know, at the schools. We don't spray around kids. So we follow all the state regulations for spraying. I want to put that out there. So we're not just willy-nilly spraying and not paying attention. That's important to know. With their license, they could lose their license if we don't do it the right way. We keep logs. We post them on the school doors. Everybody's aware when we're spraying. We can't do it within how many feet? 100 feet of kids or occupied buildings. So sometimes we do it on weekends. We do it over Christmas break when we know there's not sports. So there's very strict guidelines.
And then what's the life cycle of one of these?
With the amount that we're gonna use it?
Yeah.
10 years, easy.
And is there a warranty?
It's a 1-year warranty, 3 years on the engine.
Okay, thank you.
I had a couple questions. I'm sorry. Just curious, in terms of alternatives, I hear that you said that you have a sprayer on the back of a
Gator.
Gator. I didn't know if there's other equipment in the fleet for grounds that, I've seen hoppers that are large cones that go on the back of some of those. What were the considerations related to alternative solutions besides a $20,000 in piece of equipment that's specifically for that? I just wanted to understand why not retrofit something on the back of something that could be used temporarily and when needed, or just it has to be a dedicated piece of equipment just for spraying.
So the cone hopper on the back of our tractor is strictly for fertilizer. It's not very accurate. It's nice. They use it agriculturally to just get some nutrients down. With this spreader sprayer, it's much more specific to what you're spraying. With our dandelions, clover, chicory, we have pretty bad problems on the sports fields, especially. We've been trying to really upgrade those for the students, and the current equipment's just not capable of doing it. The tank we put on the back of the Gators, we're using that for Roundup, just for cracks in the crevices and around buildings and things like that. It's not for broadleaf weed control.
So our goal here is to minimize the weeds and thicken the lawns for a better playable surface. So by weed and feed, if I'm saying it wrong, please, by weeding and feeding and starting this process and getting on a routine, then we're going to thicken that grass in the playable fields and choke out the weeds, if you will, over time, because it's going to be more grass than weeds.
Correct?
Yeah, I understand the purpose. I was just kind of thinking about the equipment and the alternatives and what those considerations were related to this solution versus that and the price difference for it. So what you're saying is that those other pieces of equipment just couldn't do it. Is that what I heard you say?
The other pieces that we have currently, we're not able to maintain them like we want to. We do have a fertilizer spreader on the back of the tractor, and it's granular. And this is going to be a chemical sprayer, not just for dandelions, but for also weeds control.
If it ever comes down to it, fleas or ticks in the fields, if we ever have a problem with that, mosquito control can be used for a lot of things like that when you put down liquid applications.
Thank you.
You said we had 2 staff that are able to apply it?
Currently, we do. We have 2 others that are reading up on the books. You got to take the license through the state, so we'd like all of our grounds to be certified. And of course, it takes time to study, and then they got to go test at a state center and get pass a test for that. So we have 2 that are currently working on it, but Dan and Mark, they've had their license for quite some time. Mark is able to spray for some of the ants and stuff, bees and stuff like that. So
Yeah, no, just making sure we got enough staff
Yeah,
to be
we
able to
do.
utilize it.
and we want to get the other 2 guys too up and with their license, so we all 4 can then do it.
Sounds good.
Screen.
Hi, guys. Hey, Mark, what's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Nice seeing you again. You too, Jason.
Thank you.
Cost benefit. So you're telling me, you don't give me exact numbers, just so I know and this board knows and this community knows. When we outsource this, are we gonna have is it gonna be as needed? Are we gonna have a set time of when we're doing it? But I guess my point is with a cost benefit, when do we see the return where everything we're outsourcing and paying someone versus the cost of this machine puts us into the positive instead of the negative?
Rough numbers, 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Mhm.
Okay. So we're investing in something and seeing the return back in 2.5 years.
That 4,500 was just one application, and for dandelions, it's twice a year, so it's around $9,000 for 1 year to spray for dandelions.
And that's only half of the property that we plan on spraying.
So 2.5 years, that's great. Second question, because I'm gonna put on my coach's hat, not a school board hat on this one. I'm just gonna be 100% honest, because Ms. Irvine knows this, Mr. Dobek knows this, and you guys know this. I know what you said, right? So I know what you said about the spraying and the legality of it and this and that with sports teams. But what we say and what we do, not saying you two, because I know you very well, but all of us in general are two totally different things.
Yep.
So, what's the hierarchy? Is this under your department? Because I want to know who to call if something occurs, for example, when we're seeding, we're cutting the grass and then I'm just giving you for example in a different area, right?
That's fine.
We're cutting the grass and dirt is getting kicked up because we don't have it's not developed yet down there on the baseball field, and there's complaining and kids, and there's duck on the baseball field with two baseball teams on the field, and I'm calling Miss Irvine and I'm complaining to her, and she's calling someone to stop it, and I'm calling Mr. Dobek trying to get a hold of you because I'm pissed, to put it bluntly. So who are we going to if this isn't in the proper way? Like, I want to know who to go to and make sure this is done properly. I'm just being honest.
Yep, that'd be myself and my department.
All right. Everybody heard that. We're on TV.
Yep.
All right.
You won't catch me spraying around anybody. It's just the way I am.
I do want to highlight, though, that our contractors have been responsible for the restoration
I get it.
of some areas, too.
You can come to my house too if you want.
Mr. Coops?
A clarification on their ROI question. You said 2.5 years. I imagine that was the cost for contractors to do it compared to the cost of the piece of equipment, but that wouldn't be including the maintenance, the chemicals themselves.
Yep,
I imagine that would be somewhere around 50% of the cost of what your contractor charged. No,
not even close.
so the chemicals are cheap,
Very,
and we can handle them, store them, all those types of things. We have the facilities to be able to.
Yes,
there's a high profit margin in the chemical side of it.
and they're licensed to put them in the piece of equipment. That's all underneath the licensing when you spray. So it's all state regulated, and we're following all those rules and keeping laws.
Thank you.
Chemical cost is roughly, for the weed control part of it, maybe $1,000 a year, maybe.
Any other questions? All right. Bring the discussion back to the table. Entertain a motion on action item number 2.
Mr. President,
Did they recommend which one they're?
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
It's our recommendation that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the Z Spray Max stand-on spreader sprayer from Weingart's in the amount of $19,927.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the Z Spray Max stand-on spreader sprayer for grounds not to exceed $19,927.
We have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Cooper. Any discussion on that item? It's been thoroughly discussed already. Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Action item number 3, approval of the Davidson Board Office and Shelters concrete replacement.
Yes. Hi. Me again. Excuse me. So it's our recommendation to remove and replace the following areas of concrete at Davidson, the middle school itself, the Board of Education on, Leroy side, and shelters. We have a 5-year bid with Royal Cement. I've attached the estimates and all that we'd like to replace at these schools. Now, these are the concrete walkways, some of the city walkways needed to be removed and replaced. So Davidson, remove and replace sidewalk along Leroy. I'm not going to go through all these. Remove and replace walkway up to the bus doors. Add some concrete. There's some grassy areas where people are parking now. It's mud. It's not growing because they keep parking there. And that's at Davidson. And then the Board of Education, same thing, sidewalk by the front door. A frost slab there, and that by shelters. There's some side doors, a walkway by the entrance to the playground, parking lot exit. So Royal Cement, we have a 5-year bid with them. I verified all the pricing is within the 2025 school year. pricing that Royal did give us. So it's our recommendation, the Board of Education approve Royal Cement's estimate with a contingency of $3,600 for the price not to exceed $40,283.10.
Any discussion or any questions for staff? All right, bring the discussion back to the table. Entertain a motion on action item number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Davidson Board Office and Shelters concrete replacement not to exceed $40,283.10.
A motion by Dr. Pomponi. Is there support? Support. Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion?
Question. Is there, in the future, I know that the board office parking lot on the west side of Davidson's really kind of small. Seems like I always have to park across the street over at the Middle Academy there. Is there any future thought or expanding that parking lot, or, and would this maybe be something that you lay down, you're gonna rip up again later because you might expand that parking lot? Just kind of a thought there.
The concrete that is there in the walkway, I don't see that being impacted if that lot was increased or at least grown any, mostly because we're limited on how far we can take that parking lot with the bus loop. And now that we have buses that are regularly using that DMS side, and then as DMA starts, that's going to be the same bus loop that they use. So the traffic there is going to actually get much more pronounced very, very soon. If there is an extension of that parking lot, it would probably have to be towards the building. That's a possibility. We can investigate it. I don't know what that would look like. We haven't investigated that so far. It has been kind of a pain, but you know, it's one of those things that as central office has to use it, we just try to tolerate it just like everybody else does and know that I'm parking there too. So we can investigate. We haven't though had it on our list. And in fact, the concrete in front of the doorway is in very, very bad shape. It's some of the worst shape of any concrete there. That has been one of our last things that we've put on the list to replace for those same reasons. We're only selectively replacing where we see the need to be greatest or the trip hazard to be strongest. So we can add it though and consider what that looks like. We are very appreciative of the city who has been very responsive and built a crosswalk from DMA to DMS, and I've already been on top of that to prepare for the students that are going to be moving from building to building during the course of the year. So that whole area is going to be looked at pretty closely because of the loop that we're planning to put behind DMA to make a transportation bus depot behind DMA. So that's going to kind of weave between the train park and DMA now. There in the back, we'll be parking those buses there. So we can add a level of study to that whole area, including the west side of the Davidson as well as that DMA area. Because it is going to be a complicated traffic flow that does need to be holistically looked at. So the easy answer is yes, we'll add that to the list.
I think it was just Jason, go ahead and use.
I heard a maybe.
Use the crosswalk is
Yeah.
what I thought I heard.
I heard to keep
You're not
parking,
gonna find any more
across
parking
the street. That's what I heard.
Well, we'll add that to the list to look at.
stuff. I just, every time I go there, there's nothing, no
I heard to
availability.
keep parking across the street for right now.
So, okay.
All
But
right.
what I also heard is that this wouldn't interrupt that at all. So,
No, we won't be able to expand that way.
Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Action item number 4, approval of the renovation of North Point classroom.
I'm going to jump in first on this. So as our North Point program has continued to grow, we know we'll have 2 sections of every grade there. The Guidance Center, when they rented the facility or leased it for a period of time, actually built a subset of offices in one of the classrooms. So they actually drywalled it, they actually put fire alarm systems. They really locked down one classroom that we now have to vacate and use as a classroom now. So we have, Jason's team has torn out the walls that were installed by the guidance center. They've done all the work that they've needed to do, and now we are going to be carpeting that area and preparing it as a classroom to open. So Jason can talk briefly about just the investigation process for how we're gonna go about it, but I just wanted to give you that context.
Okay, thank you.
Follow that one up, buddy.
Yeah. So room 16 at North Point's being renovated. The renovation consists of removing 4 offices and turning it back into a classroom. Through this renovation, new carpet and base is needed. My team has done a lot of the acoustical ceilings. We've removed the walls, we painted, and now carpet and base is needed to finish off the project. It'll be similar carpet and base to the rest of the school. It's the same carpet, same base, and look when we're done like a classroom like it was in originally before it got turned into offices. So Cones Commercial Flooring and SCI Floor Covering, Inc. Have given 2 quotes. Cones Commercial Flooring, demo prep. The difference between the two here is Cones has the carpet in stock currently, and SCI Flooring has a 2-week more or more lead time on getting the carpet. So if it's something that we really want to be turned over before the start of school, 3 weeks left, I'm recommending Board of Education approve Cones Commercial Flooring. There's about a $500 difference in the pricing, and I'm asking for a $690 contingency just in case they got to sand the floor more to get it to right for the carpet to stay down, because we're going over the old VCT. It's a recommendation the Board of Education approve Cones Commercial Floor Inc. to demo install the new carpet and base in room 16 at North Point in the amount not to exceed $7,590.
Questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the renovation of the North Point classroom not to exceed $7,590.
Motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support? Support by Ms. Angel. Any discussion on the item? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is approved. Action item number 5, approval of the purchase, the retractable batting cage.
And I'm going to turn this one over.
Oh, Mr. Doe.
You heard enough from me tonight.
Yeah.
They want to do this one? We are here to propose the purchase of a retractable batting cage for the indoor practice area in the multipurpose during inclement weather and off-season. There are 2 options. One is from Carter Crompton. With everything that is listed there, it is 12 by 14 by 70. Currently, the one we have is 96 feet long, which is a little bit oversized. And with this, you see that we will have the electric gear-driven hoist that goes with it and all the necessary hardware delivery and install. And actually, on this one too, they'll currently take the one that we have and move it over closer to the wall a little bit, which will take it off of the playing surface of the volleyball court that we put in with the multi-purpose floor. So it will actually relocate that over a little bit more to give us some room and to not be in the playability. If you see, we have a 5-year warranty on the steel cable, piping, pulleys, and the electric gear hoist, as well as the 1-year warranty for the net, which is $9,900. CMM and Associates was the other quote that we got, which was $17,650. And then we added in the $5,000 for contingency for electrical work, because there may be some conduit that we have to move over, but we won't know that. And so we are recommending that we go with Carter Crompton and not to exceed the amount of $14,900. Any questions?
So you're gonna give Andy 2 batting cages there?
It's not Andy.
that what I'm getting
And
at?
softball uses it too, don't we?
We're
Don't you
not.
come to Andy?
This is replacing it.
Okay, well, you just said it was moving over.
Well, that just means the location is moving.
The
You're not-
location is moving from the original.
Oh, so you're not keeping the other one?
Nope, the other one's coming down.
Okay, all right, all right. I
The other
feel
one is
better now.
coming
Andy's not
down.
getting
One
two.
outside
That is
stays.
replacing
Want
that
Andy
one.
to have 2.
And so we're gonna have one cage in there, and it's gonna allow us to actually get it closer to the ceiling.
Right.
Right now, it's about 36 inches, and this is gonna take it up to about a foot to 18 inches. So it's gonna allow us to keep the volleyballs from getting stuck up there and to allow us to, have something newer.
I do notice how the batting cage here that you propose is 14 feet high.
Mhm.
Not 10, like outside.
Yes.
I don't know what point he's
So a
trying to
good thing.
I don't know what he's trying to.
So
Everybody, you know what point I'm trying to make, is that the one outside you need to fix.
Romeo has the floor.
what, material is this made out of and what's the life expectancy of this for $14,900?
So the galvanized steel frame, which will last, for the one that we have in there is about 20 some years old. They said about 30 years is what it would last, by replacing this one. So it will be there for quite some time. The only thing that will probably have to be replaced on it periodically is the net. But that, again, over time is, usually 5 to 6 years that you get the life expectancy out of that before you have to replace the net. And it's Carter Crompton's one that deals with the area, and they deal with a lot of the schools, and everybody's happy with their work. So
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the retractable batting cage not to exceed $14,900.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Don't make me do it, guys. Support.
Supported by Mr. Green.
Thanks, everyone.
Any discussion on the item? I would have, but I can't.
I
All right, seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. Okay, now we get to action item number 6, which is not an action item, it's discussion on our added item on the garish walkway, I'll call it. I know it was a longer ad than that, but for purposes of that, I'll call it the garish walkway. Dr. Pomponi, would you like to lead the
So
discussion?
part of the discussion, yes. So initially, we had the motion to approve the walkway, and we did. Then it came to the board with a rescind that motion, and that was with information that stated that there was no use of that. So I was behind that because I thought if there's no use, we don't need to move forward with it, and the expenses was brought up. But then, since then, because I am here because of the community was calling me, and I took many calls, and I then was aware of all of the different things and uses that was used for. And so I took a look at it. I went over there and I took a look at it, and I noticed that without that walkway through to Garish, it's just grass. It just goes to nothing. But then I just started thinking I had to do a little bit more research, because at the point I made the decision to vote on that motion to rescind, I was told there was no use. So obviously now I have full support for moving forward with continuing to repair the walkway, because since then I found out that there was neighbors in the community that were requesting that be fixed for years. Also, there's shared services, and we have the community that uses our facilities. We have a walking path and shelters, which was made actually partially for that. It didn't look right aesthetically anyways, but just going through all the different things that the city has shared with us. I volunteered different places, and even at the market center, people were coming up to me and telling me that they use that, or the relatives use it. They run there, they walk there. And neighbors that say that they see people use it all the time. And I did witness a lot of activity in that neighborhood and then in the back. So also with all the different things that come through the board, my desk here, we pay for a lot of different things, a net 14, 15, 20,000, and I feel like it deserves, it's warranted another look for us to schools. That should be something that we need to discuss and make another decision to move forward with it, because right now, as of right now, it's not, there's nothing being, it's stopped right now. So I support a rescinded action item from July 15th. That's it.
Anyone else?
Thank you, appreciate it. I wanted to talk about the campus revitalization over at Davidson, the ball fields that are on the back. And I know that there was discussion, we approved to get new fence. I was thinking about the future that we're at Davidson Middle School, but I'm thinking about how will those ball fields be leveraged and used by the community, even though it's on school district property in the future. And I'm hoping it might be in the survey. I don't know if there's some insight as to conversations that have been had about how that might be used in the future beyond what's happening over the next couple of years.
So the recent millage is a multi-year millage that is going to give us money to use over a period of time. So not all of our projects are going to happen immediately. The plan for Davidson Fields, ball fields, is one that we're studying. And in the end, we may decide that that's not eventually what we want to do. I do think that what we've been able to do at Garish has shown us that we have an option for our middle schoolers that is actually becoming pretty high quality. So we've had to use the Garish over the last couple of years. Last year, we're going to have to use it again for that same purpose. And there's a possibility that we rethink whether or not we want to add ball fields to the Davidson site. I will say that that area is becoming a prime commuter location. This is something we talked about in July, meaning that we have our robotics program, our innovation center, and our parents are bringing their children over for robotics. We do have the Vikings that use that area pretty extensively. And our relationship with the Vikings has been very strong, and I see that happening for many years. The improvements we're making on the fields are never going to be lavish. We're just wanting to make sure they're in decent shape and they're usable. But as people who have asked to use our fields have said, they're actually some of the best maintained fields in the Downriver area right now. And that's the feedback we're getting is people are calling wanting to use the Garish fields right now just because of how they're maintained. So that may be something that has long opportunity for either outside groups or our own students, either as possible. As far as the adult side and the Asher Alternative Education side, the building's being used pretty heavily for that, including community education. Down the road, as our DMA continues to grow, is there a possibility that Garish could be used again 5 to 10 years from now for a complete 612? That's a possibility. So we kind of have our for now plan, which is working out really well. But we do have our growth goals that we have for the programs that we offer. And in time, if those materialize, Garish is going to continue to be a really strong option. So that's a lot to say. We use it, we like it, we're investing in it. So it's going to stay a part of our regular use for the foreseeable future.
thank you for giving me that insight in terms of where we're not certain, but our options are going to be left open. And of course, anything can change. I went over there earlier today, and I saw that they were tearing up the concrete, or excuse me, the blacktop, and all the surfaces of the parking lot. And I went over 2 weeks ago and saw the sidewalk or the walkway, if that's what you want to call it. It was blacktop that's been cracked and grown over, and there wasn't much of a good path there just a few weeks ago. I'm sure it was installed 40 plus years ago and not really well maintained. However, as I was looking at it today and I was seeing how it incorporated into the campus that is there and where the poles are for the ball field that's being put in. And I saw the fence, obviously, and we've already ripped out the blacktop that was there. We've already put the aggregate down for the tamping. It needs to be framed and poured if you're going to move forward. Installing, but I see uniform baseball field and how it incorporates into the campus itself and how those fields might be used in the future for community things beyond just district stuff. So I'd be supportive in reconsidering the pouring of the sidewalk as it relates to the look and feel and usability of the campus that it becomes and its possibilities in its future. I think that there are a lot of walkways that would have to be maintained by the district anyhow over there. And it's just one more little piece that would have to be done. So that's kind of from my perspective today. I saw the alley there and I saw that the fence was there, but I think the fence was probably put there just to make sure they stay out of the current construction of it, because now it's a trip hazard. But obviously, we wouldn't be blocking that off by any means. That have access to at least the field. But I think that looks and feels better with the campus to have that. It's a very large neighborhood over there. It's not just Cherry Lane. It's the whole neighborhood behind shelters that would leverage that access to that space. So that's just my opinion from what I've seen, what I looked at today. So I would support a reconsideration.
Similar, I would support a reconsideration, from hearing that it wasn't often used. I would ask one question: historically, have we ever had an issue there with a pathway, whether it's an insurance claim, somebody hurting themselves from the community? Have we ever?
Not that I'm aware of.
Nothing.
If for some reason we wanted to add it to an agenda in the future, and again, I was over there today watching them tear it up. The project's well underway. There's a time limit on, I mean, you could hold off some things indefinitely, I guess, but you probably wouldn't want to, especially as the months are starting to get cooler. Costs us a lot more to get a truck out there if we wait on this decision.
But we had locked in pricing for whenever.
Okay.
To my knowledge, nothing that we're doing right now or that the crews are doing are going to interfere with our ability to follow any plan that we had already established for that pathway, correct? I mean, just yes or no?
Correct. Nothing we're doing will.
So that still is available for either asphalting or concrete.
Currently, yes, it is.
So can we get a price on both before the next meeting and put it on the action for next?
We can do that?
If there's a
Board wants us
consensus,
to do
if
that?
there's a consensus, we
If
can
the
do
board wants
that.
us to, yes.
How do we get a consensus before the next board meeting?
Oh,
Well, that's what we're discussing
Yeah, that's
right
what we're
now.
doing now.
That's what we're discussing
Okay.
right now. Any other discussion?
Yeah. So I guess I was the bad guy 2 weeks ago, so I guess I'll speak up. So first of all, I'm a history teacher by trade. I think a lot of people know, and I received a history lesson from the email from the mayor and some other things. I am not a lifelong resident of Southgate. I'm downriver resident, obviously, but I've been here 11 years. However, I do have a daughter that came through and has lived in Southgate her whole life and went through Southgate Public Schools and live in this community. And, you know, and I have a stepson who the same, has lived in Southgate his whole life, is and went through the school district. When I spoke, you know, I'm looking at it from one lens, and much like everybody else, trying to stay focused with whose job is whose in a lot of ways. My contention was, and to some point it still is, that our job is to handle and service the students. And no offense, the city's job is to, you know, handle the community. I did not know about the shared, I was not on the school board in 2015. I did not know about what happened at the school with the, you know, with the nature center. I was not aware of that. So I learned, you know, I learned that lesson. I understand that. I had some community members call me. I talked to some board members. I talked to Ms. Irvine on this. I get yelled at and phone calls from certain people, not to mention any names, but I get yelled at a lot, so I'm used to that. I thought I had to speak up on this. Supposed to be at football practice and I was going to miss this meeting, but since I'm the one who spoke pretty vehemently against this 2 weeks ago, I'm not going to hide behind not being here when I knew people were going to come and speak in support of it. I hear everybody. I am not opposed to it. I'm not really for it still in a way. I guess I understand, you know, the give and take. It's not something that I'm going to cause a problem with. It sounds like there's one, two, at least three members that want to, you know, reintroduce this. And if it benefits the community that much, and, you know, we have the top dogs coming out, which, no offense, I haven't seen too much in a decade sitting on this board. Obviously, it's important to a lot of people. So, you know, I can admit when, you know, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I wasn't. But I'm okay with it if it's up for discussion. Like I said, sounds like I have three members. I'm not sure where you stand. But I'm not going to be the one that's going to block it. I'm just going to make that clear. So that's why, though, I felt 2 weeks ago, just serving the community, other things come to the attention. I wanted to really talk to some people. I guess in one way, I'll apologize to the mayor that I didn't respond to you, but in a lot of ways, the way the board works is we usually have one voice. I know you can understand that, and I wanted to wait and see where everybody else was at, and I knew that in this meeting, this discussion, I didn't know for sure, but I had a feeling that this discussion was probably going to come up again. So on one end, that's why I didn't respond to you, but I just want to let you know that I did read your concerns and took it all in and so forth and so on, and understand the history a little better. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. So
I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. It was a reasonable cost savings to remove it. And with the idea that we could put it back on the table later if students were ever back in that building. I do live in that community. I'm a lifelong Southgate resident. I walk past that area very frequently. I've used that walkway. My children have used that walkway in the past when it was more, you know, active. In my observation, it doesn't seem to be very frequently used. But if folks in the community want to use it and feel strongly, I'm not going to block it either. I don't, you know, I just don't feel very strongly one way about it.
Okay. Anybody else have thoughts, discussion, points, concerns, questions? So hearing what, I don't want to say what a majority, you know, is looking for, but why don't we ask Dr. Irvine to talk to the city and see what they might be looking at. We can talk to Mr. Hardy and contractors and get pricing on different options. It doesn't have to be concrete. It can be something, asphalt or something. I'd like to have a better handle on what the real purpose is. I mean, I think, because I still don't see it as being used for the school. I don't, I don't see that as a school use. It's a cut through. It's a cut through from one neighborhood to a street. It's not, for whatever, what we might do at that campus. I mean, if kids are going to play on the field, they don't mind walking in the grass, because our plan is not to block it off, right? Our plan is to have it open. But, so for whatever that purpose is, maybe we can open up that dialogue with the city, have a conversation, and then bring back some possible options as to what, if we're doing it as a community benefit, what would that look like for them? And how would that shape up? What does that mean, you know?
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
I thought we already had pricing on.
We had
was it a-
pricing-
It was a reinforced
Pricing on
asphalt?
concrete. The pricing was on concrete, I believe.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
We didn't have a price for asphalt at the time, did we?
No, we didn't.
Because this is where the
I
moors
think it's
were gonna go over it.
Correct. And, yes, correct.
Okay.
Since then, the quote would be adjusted because we would not use that contractor to remove the asphalt. We did that ourselves. So you will see a quote come through that's less costly by that demolition removal.
Does everybody agree with that we start a dialogue with the city about what that might look like and what it means? And
I think we already had the conversation. I think we should bring it to the board for action.
anybody else have an opinion? Open a dialogue or just bring it for a vote?
Because we need to get a strong idea which way we're heading here.
That's-
So
that's what I'm
everybody's
trying to
got-
But I thought
everybody's
that's what they
got
were
on
gonna
it.
do before we
Yeah.
get to the
Yeah,
action.
we are.
That's what I'm talking about doing.
Yeah.
Is getting a consensus on direction. And that's what I'm looking at doing, is getting a consensus on direction. If you'd like to add an item, there's an option for that. But I don't know what that item looks like right now.
Okay, well, we had a discussion. We exhausted the discussion, so between now and the next board meeting, I think they can do the background work.
Disagree. The discussion's not been exhausted. We're still discussing what we're gonna do and how we're gonna move forward.
Okay, we have the
what that looks
consensus.
As far as getting prices,
As far as getting prices, as far as, do we make it a big circle that goes all the way around? Do we make it a figure eight? Do we run it in an L? I don't know.
do you
That's
run
the
it
question.
the way it was
What
prior?
option is there? What's the most efficient way to do it that's gonna service what we need? And that's why I'd like to have a dialogue with the city to see what they're looking for. We haven't, as far as I know, nobody's had a dialogue with the city about what that would be or not be. I'm hearing from 3 people. I haven't heard from the city. I've heard from 3 people. So what does that look like? That's all. If we open that dialogue up and something productive comes of it, then we bring that back for board action.
Okay, again, I'm gonna move it forward and say that because of the consensus, we move it to the next meeting, and all of that can be done between the superintendent and Jason before we get to the next meeting for action. We have the consensus.
You don't have a consensus.
Well, I thought that's what we just did.
So she's asking for a
don't have a
consensus.
Oh, okay, then that's what I'm doing.
Right. And that's not what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing that there's consensus to bring direction.
Okay, is there
I heard
consensus?
people say
to-
they would be open. That's what I
Okay.
heard.
Okay, so in front of the community, do we have consensus to move it to an action item? That's what I want to know right now, because I brought it up.
You wanted to see it as an action item, Sean?
I would.
Okay. Jason, do you want to
Granted,
see it?
seeing the pricing.
Right.
Yeah, do you want to
I'll
see it
work
as an
with it.
action item, Jason?
Um,
I don't know what the action item looks like, but we'll see it.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're back and forth on 2 proposals, potentially, maybe more, but the purpose and how it would be used with that conversation with the city, I'm less concerned about, just understanding that, now we're talking blacktop versus concrete, and is there a separate pricing that would have been different, then I'd be interested in understanding that. But with that information, I'd be able to take it for action. Okay, for a vote.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, action.
You guys want to vote on?
That's 4.
We'll
I'm
put it
not-
on.
I'm not gonna block
We'll
it.
put it on the next agenda.
Just to
for
be
a vote.
clear, though, I think, I know one of your questions, so I'm assuming, and you guys can just nod your head if you want, that we're talking about just replacing it, not changing it. So just replacing it, so.
But what you're saying, replacing, is replacing with blacktop is what was
I
there.
get that,
Is
I
it
get that.
Replacement with concrete or
Just putting
blacktop?
something
I understand, but
around
that's
it.
something we
Proposal
can
with
bring into
concrete,
action if
but
that's
yeah.
if that's what you want. I'm sure we can get both proposals in 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Right, that's what.
But my point was, just to clarify what Jason was saying, is he's like, is it a figure eight? Is it this and that?
That's not
They're
even on the
asking,
table
or
right now.
Darlene, Dr. Pomponio was saying, well, I think we do. If the action item is gonna be from Dr. Pomponio next week, or if it's put on the action item, it's just a replacement the way it looked before, not anything changing.
That's how it initially was
Right.
when we had the meeting.
So whether the pricing from asphalt or cement, that's not what I was trying to clarify. So,
And from when I was out there today, where the field's going in, there's not too many options, you know? It's kind of, right now, it's kind of an L, that's all it is. Could you put a curve on it maybe? But it's not gonna move too far from where it's at as it is now.
Right.
So I'm just saying is that it's not gonna be
Replace it.
too much different, no matter what, because it's not gonna run through a ball field, so. That's just from my perspective. So to me, that's not really the issue in my mind, because it can only go in so much space.
so pretty much everybody wants it as an action item, so.
Do you have questions about what to bring forward?
It sounds like, just to repeat what I'm hearing, at our next board meeting, we'll bring you a recommendation with two alternatives. One is a concrete alternative and one is an asphalt alternative, and we'll provide you with our rationale for what we believe is the right course of action. I do believe that concrete was picked for some convenience reasons for the district. And I would like to explore that with Jason a little more, but we can provide both of those options to you at our next meeting for an agenda item to vote.
And in the meantime, I would probably, it's probably not a bad idea if we're talking about collaboration, right? In those 2 weeks is if someone in the city and you speak to see what their,
I'll follow up with Mayor
yeah,
Kessler.
to see what the mayor, what the city's view is on this, if they have a big difference between concrete and asphalt, just so we know. So we're making it an action item, which we have the consensus from what I'm hearing, that we have those questions ready to go in 2 weeks. That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on the last item on the agenda.
Is that mine?
Cheers.
That's mine. I make a motion, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Green, supported by Dr. Pomponio. Any discussion on the adjournment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you. Sharon.